just thrilled to be here. And I want to thank Joe and Rhonda and the entire family for being such great hosts. And I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here. I see that the mayor of Columbus is here, a great friend, somebody who's going to be running and I hope winning for the U.S. Senate. Lee Fisher is here, and Mary Jo Kilroy is here. We've got one of the best senators, I believe, in the United States Senate, and Sherrod Brown is here, and one of the finest governors in the country, Ted Strickland's here. So give those folks a big Should we tell them to take off their jackets too? Take off your jackets, guys. Lighten up a little bit. Sheesh. This is just a great opportunity for me to have a conversation with you, and I don't want this to be too formal. What I want to do is have a chance to listen to you and also answer your questions. What we've tried to do whenever we are in a setting like this is to talk about the things that folks are going through day to day. Because, look, I'll be honest with you, sometimes when you're in Washington, you get caught up with particular legislative battles or media spin on certain issues, and sometimes you lose touch in terms of what folks are talking about around the kitchen table. One of the ways that I stay in touch is through events like this, as well as reading letters from constituents and voters all across the country every night. And obviously, what's on a lot of people's minds right now is the economy. We went through the worst recession that we've had since the Great Depression. And when I was sworn in about 18 months ago, we had already lost several million jobs, and we were about to lose several million more. We lost 800,000 jobs the month I was sworn in. And so we had to act fast and take some emergency steps to prevent the economy from going back into what could have been a Great Depression. And we were successful in doing so. We stabilized the economy, we stabilized the financial system, we didn't have a complete meltdown. Whereas we were losing jobs in the private sector, when I was first sworn in, we're now gaining jobs, and we've gained jobs 7 consecutive months in the private sector. The economy was shrinking about 6%. The economy is now growing. So we've made progress, but let's face it, the progress hasn't been fast enough. And Joe and Rhonda and I were just talking about the challenges that they've had to go through when Rhonda got laid off. And by the way, also lost her health insurance in the process at a time when her son was going through some significant medical needs. So in addition to trying to stop the crisis, what we also wanted to do was make sure that we were helping people get back on their feet. So something that I'm very pleased with is that Rhonda was able to use the provisions that we passed to help her get COBRA, so that she had health insurance to keep her health insurance at a time when the family was very much in need. And millions of people across the country have been able to keep their health insurance. We've also been trying to help our state and local governments so that they're not having to lay off as many teachers, firefighters, and police officers. And I know that I think the mayor and the governor would acknowledge that the help that we provided them has really helped to plug some big budget holes. And in addition, what we've been trying to do is to build infrastructure that puts people back to work, but also improves the quality of life in communities like Columbus. So Joe is an architect, and he's now working on a new police station that was funded in part with Recovery Act funds. So all these things have made a difference, but we've still got a long way to go. And so a couple of things that we're focused on right now is, number one, making sure that small businesses are getting help, because small businesses, like Joe's architectural firm, are really the key to our economy. They create 2 out of every 3 jobs. So we want to make sure that they're getting financing We want to make sure that we are cutting their taxes in certain key areas. One of the things that we've done, for example, is propose that we eliminate capital gains taxes on small businesses so that when they're starting up and they don't have a lot of cash flow, that's exactly the time when they should get a break and they should get some help. We're focusing as well on trying to figure out if we build more infrastructure here in Ohio and all across the country that puts people back to work. Not just building roads and bridges, but also building things like high-speed rail or building broadband lines that can connect communities and give people access to the internet at a time when that's going to be critical in terms of long-term economic development. We're also going to have to look at how do we, over the long term, get control of our deficit, and that's obviously something that a lot of people have on their minds. The key is to make sure that we do so in a way that doesn't impede recovery, but rather it gives people confidence over the medium and the long term. And I'm going to be happy to talk about what we're doing in terms of spending. But overall, the main message that I want to deliver before I start taking questions, and I said this to Joe and Ron, is slowly but surely we are moving in the right direction. We're on the right track. The economy is getting stronger, but it really suffered a big trauma. And we're not going to get all 8 million jobs that were lost back overnight. It's going to take some time. And businesses are still trying to get more confident out there before they start hiring. And people, consumers, are not going to start spending until they feel a little more confident that the economy is getting stronger. So what we're trying to do is create sort of a virtuous cycle where people start feeling better and better about the economy, and a lot of it's sort of like recovering from an illness. You get a little bit stronger each day. You take a few more steps each day, and that's where our economy is at right now. What we can't afford to do is to start going backwards and doing some of the same things that got us into trouble in the first place. This is why it's been so important for us to, for example, to pass something like Wall Street reform, to make sure that we're not creating the same kinds of financial bubbles and the massive leverage and the reckless risks that helped to create this problem in the first place. And I'm very proud that we've got somebody like Sherrod Brown or Mary Jo worked really tirelessly with us in Congress to make sure that we don't have a situation where we've got to bail out banks that have taken reckless risks, that we are monitoring what's happening in the financial system a lot more carefully, that people, making sure people aren't cheated when it comes to their mortgages, or that there are a bunch of hidden fees in their credit cards that help to create some of the problems that we've seen in the financial systems. We can't go back to doing things the way we were doing it before. We've got to go forward. That's what we're trying to do. And hopefully, as we continue over the next several months, the next several years, we're going to see a Columbus and an Ohio and the United States of America that is going to be stronger than it was before this crisis struck. I am absolutely confident of that, but we got more work to do.